If you work in a nursery or you're training in early years, you've probably heard the term continuous provision. But here's the reality. A lot of people hear it, use it, even plan around it. But if you ask them to clearly explain what it actually means, they'll struggle. And that becomes a problem because this is something that comes up in interviews. It comes up during observations and it definitely comes up during Ofsted inspections. So in this video, I'm going to break down simply what continuous provision actually is, what it should look like in practice, and how to get it right in your setting without overcomplicating it. Because once you understand this properly, everything else starts to make more sense. By the end of this video, you should feel confident explaining continuous provision clearly, whether that's in your day-to-day practice, in an interview, or when you're speaking to Ofsted. But before we jump straight into it, welcome to the channel. Welcome to the channel Open Nursery with myself, Kurt Liania, where I support you to open, run and grow successful nurseries. I support early practitioners and nursery leaders with understanding the EYFS, not just in theory, but in a way that actually makes sense day to day in your setting. So if you haven't already, check out my other videos like what is safeguarding and what is the EYFS. But let's start with a simple definition. Continuous provision is the resources and environment that are always available for children to access without needing to ask. It's what children can come back to again and again. It's consistent, it's familiar, and it supports independent learning. So instead of constantly directing children or setting up one-off activities, you're creating an environment where learning is happening continuously. Children can explore, practice skills, revisit ideas, and deepen their understanding over time. And that's a key point. Continuous provision isn't about constant adult-led activity. It's about creating an environment that supports learning continuously. So now you understand what continuous provision is. Let's talk about why it actually matters, because this isn't just a term you need to know. It has a real impact on how children learn and develop. Continuous provision is important because it builds independence. Children don't have to wait for an adult to tell them what to do. They can make choices and take ownership of their learning. It encourages exploration. Children can follow their interests, try things out, and learn through play in a way that feels natural. It supports sustained learning. Instead of moving quickly from one activity to another, children can stay with something, develop ideas, and go deeper. And it allows children to revisit and strengthen skills, which is how real learning happens over time. And this is where it links directly to Ofsted, because when inspectors come into a setting, they're not just looking at what you set up for that day. They're looking at whether your environment has been designed with purpose, whether children can access resources independently, and whether learning is happening consistently, not just during adult-led moments. So continuous provision shows that your environment is intentional, not just set up for the day, but designed to support ongoing development. So what does this actually look like on a nursery floor? Because this is where people sometimes overthink it. In most settings, continuous provision is made up of the areas that are always available to children. For example, you might have a construction area where children can build, problem solve, and develop spatial awareness. A role play area where children explore imagination, language, and social interaction. A mark making area supporting early writing, creativity, and fine motor development. A small world area where children can create stories and act out ideas. A reading corner encouraging language development, listening, and a love for books. And your outdoor provision, which often mirrors or extends what's happening indoors, but with great opportunities for gross motor development, riding bikes and climbing frames, and exploring the world, doing things like digging or role play with a mud kitchen. Now the key point here is this: these areas are always available. They're not something that appears once and then disappears the next day. They're consistent, they're well organized, and children know where things are. They know how to access them, and they feel confident using the space. And most importantly, they're set up in a way that promotes learning, not just play for the sake of it, but play that supports development. And that's where the difference comes in, because it's not just about having resources out, it's about how those resources are arranged, how they're used, and how they support children's thinking. So the key idea to remember is this: consistency creates confidence. When children recognize the environment, they feel secure, and when they feel secure, they're much more likely to explore, engage, and learn. So now we understand what continuous provision should look like. Let's look at a few common mistakes I see, because this is where things often go slightly off track. One of the biggest is changing everything too often. There's this idea that the provision always needs to look new, different, or refreshed. But when everything keeps changing, children don't get the chance to build familiarity or go deeper in their learning. Another common one is over-directing children, where adults are constantly stepping in, telling children what to do, where to go, or how to use resources. And that can come from a good place, but it can actually limit independence and exploration. I also see settings treating provision like a one-off activity. So it's set up, used briefly, and then taken away, instead of being something children can return to and build on over time. And then there's having resources out but no clear purpose behind them. So things are there, but they're not organised, not intentional, and not really supporting learning in a meaningful way. And this is the key shift. Continuous provision isn't about constantly refreshing everything. It's not about trying to impress. It's about creating depth. It's about giving children time, consistency, and opportunity to really engage. So instead of asking, what can I change today? A better question is, how can I deepen what's already here? Now, something really important to understand is this. Continuous provision does not mean adults step back completely. It's not set up and leave it. Adults still play a crucial role, but it's a different type of role. It's about observing what children are doing, understanding their interests, noticing when learning is happening, and recognizing opportunities to extend it. It's about extending learning, not controlling it. So instead of directing, you might join a child's play and ask a thoughtful question, or introduce new vocabulary naturally, or support a child who's finding something challenging. It's about supporting language development, which is one of the most important parts of early years, and doing that in a way that feels natural and connected to what the child is already doing. And then there's something really important: how you join play, because there's a big difference between taking over and adding value. Strong practitioners don't interrupt learning, they enhance it. They know when to step in, and just as importantly, when to step back. So when you bring these two things together, strong continuous provision and high quality interactions, that's where you get powerful learning. That's where children make real progress, and that's what really stands out, not just in practice, but also during observations and inspections. And this is where it really matters during inspections, because a question that often comes up directly or indirectly is, how does your environment support children's learning? Now, if you don't fully understand continuous provision, that question can feel difficult to answer. But when you do understand it, the answer becomes much clearer, because what you're really showing is this: your intent, how your environment is designed to support development, your implementation, how children are actually using the environment day to day, and your impact, what children are gaining from it over time. So instead of talking about activities, you're talking about learning. Instead of describing what's set up, you're explaining why it's set up that way. And that's what builds confidence, not just for inspections, but in your everyday practice as well. Because when you understand the why behind what you're doing, everything becomes more purposeful. So if you find yourself needing to explain continuous provision in an interview to a colleague or during an inspection, you don't need to overcomplicate it. You can keep it simple. You can say continuous provision is the environment and resources that are always available for children to access independently, supporting their learning over time. That's it. Clear, confident, purposeful. And that's what stands out. Not long, complicated answers, but simple explanations that show real understanding. So if you're watching this with your team, this is a really good one to pause on, share, and practice together, because confidence comes from clarity. So if this has helped you understand continuous provision more clearly, the next step is understanding what brings it to life, and that's high quality interactions. So I'd really recommend watching the videos on the screen next, because the two go hand in hand. And if you want more simple practical breakdown of EYFS concepts, things that actually help you feel more confident in your role day to day, make sure you subscribe, because this channel is all about helping you understand early years properly, not just in theory but in practice. But wherever you head off to next, I wish you all the best, and I'll see you on the next video. God bless.